Proverbs 27:17, steel sharpens steel. What the hell does that mean? Well, it basically means that you can take two elements, and if they have the same hardness, you can use them to hone each other into a sharpened edge. Basically, you could take two rocks, so that you could take two pieces of granite, two pieces of onyx, you could take two pieces of iron, and if you rub those edges together long enough, it's going to form an edge, and it's going to become razor sharp. Basically, what that means is two men use their experience, their strength, and their hope, and they push each other to become the best that they can be, and that's what it's all about. I get a lot of wisdom from Proverbs, and I highly recommend reading it if you get the chance. More and more, I find myself diving into Scripture to find answers for life's problems. I've never considered myself a religious man, and I used to study theology. I love religion. I got the Quran, I've got the Book of Mormon, I've got the Bible, I've got a bunch of Hindu, Buddhist books, I've got a lot of Greek mythology, Roman, I've always found it fascinating, and not necessarily that whether the stories were true or false, but why do the archetypes keep reappearing? What is it about the old hero's journey stories that's so appealing and we find so much inspiration from them? And why is it that there's an attack on that today? Why are they trying to eradicate that from our parlance? Why are they trying to remove what we what we look up to growing up? The Superman, your heroes. They're trying to change them. They're trying to blur the lines of what being a man is. They're trying to attack tradition and nuclear family. I just watched the dumbest podcast in the world where it was a symposium on masculinity, and Herschel Walker's kid was there. He's gay, and they had a couple of transgender dudes there, and they had a bunch of different men. Some of them purported to be normal, but one thing, there was like 15 different men, and they basically asked all of them what masculinity is. And of course, the trans guy said the patriarchy. Oh God, every time I hear that word, it just makes my skin crawl. But as they went down the list, I want to say there was 15 of them, all of them, none of them had a good answer as to what masculinity is. They were all confused. They were all confused about what the role of a modern man is in today's society, and what are we supposed to be, and why is it so bad to be what we were. Basically, they're blaming men for all of the problems in today's society. It's man's aggression, it's man's lust for power, it's man's need to assert dominance over others. And I'm going to say a lot of that is just bullshit. A lot of that is what you see on TV, a lot of that's what you see in popular media, and a lot of that is just nonsense that's been handed down and you're being lied to. That is not what masculinity is. Masculinity is not the car you drive, or the amount of money you have in your bank account, or the amount of women you've been, or the job title you have. I mean, it's just that's success. That might be what a successful person is, but that isn't what masculinity is. And I'm going to tell you right now, the patriarchy is just bullshit. That is some third-wave feminine nonsense. They're basically saying, look, throughout history, there's always been a small percentage of men, mostly men, who have held positions of power. But underneath that very tiny percentage of men was men and women mostly struggling together against the horrors of the world. Dying at an early age, disease, famine, starvation. We were basically serfs. We were property, and we struggled together to raise families. What a man is a provider. A man is a service to others. A man is a protector of his community. A man is a father. A man is a good leader. The man is the person that takes care of those that he can take care of, and he protects those that can't protect themselves. And he's assertive. He stands up against the injustices of this world. He stands against evil. He speaks truth. That's what masculinity is. Or whatever they're saying it is, it's just these power-hungry assholes that sound like aggressive douchebags that no one would want to be around. And if you walk around today and just talk to the average person on the street, nobody acts like that. I was walking through the store just yesterday. Yeah, as a matter of fact, it was yesterday. I'm walking through Albertsons, which is a grocery store. And as I'm passing people, and I say things like, excuse me, or can I get through here, or hey, buddy, get the fuck out of my way, whatever. I acknowledge the people that are around me, but I always look people in the eye, and I'm polite, and I smile, and I am just astonished at how little contact we have with each other. People will not look you in the eye. They won't respond. They won't use their words. When somebody needs to walk by you, they'll literally walk up to you and they'll just like stare at your chest. They won't even look you in the eye. And I'm like, what, do you need to get by? And then when you move, they just sort of dart by. And then, or you get the guys that just try to like shoulder check you. They'll walk and just like bump into you on purpose. I have this trick I love to do. Try this sometime. When you're walking down a sidewalk and you've got a group of people and they're not going to get out of your way, you can just tell they're just not going to let you pass. They're taking up the whole sidewalk, and you just know, you can tell by their body language. They're going to try to make you move out of their way. You're going to have to like walk on the road or on the grass or on the sidewalk, and it becomes a game of chicken. So what I'll do is, as soon as I get up to them, I just stop and stand perfectly still. And I get the same reaction every time. They stop, they stare at me, and there's this confusion that sets in because they're like, what do I do? I can't just like walk into a guy that's standing perfectly still. It's like I can see the thought process, like, did I win this one? And every time they walk around me, and I just smile, and I nod my head, and I say, right on. And I keep walking, and it makes them so angry. They're so mad because they know that they lost an engagement, but there's no logical reason. There was no competition. There was nothing. All they had to do was concede that other people exist and they can move over to the side of the sidewalk and share it with the oncoming traffic. But in their mind, they're like, nah, bro, I'm just going to take this whole thing up and I'm going to make everyone else move around me. And then my dumb ass just stands there and stares at you like an idiot, and you don't know what to do. The brain just doesn't know how to compute that. And it works every single time. I'm telling you, you got to try it. It is hilarious. Next time you're in public and you see these tough guys, or whatever, women, it could be men with women, just whatever, whoever that person is that's not going to get out of your way, as soon as you get in proximity, just stop, stand there and stare at them and just watch what happens. It is hilarious. It is one of my favorite things to do. It's so non-aggressive. You're not starting anything. You're just simply standing there. You're stopping. But they don't. They know that they're being played. It's like the brain just doesn't compute. They just can't handle it. They have meltdowns. It is awesome. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do. But it brings me back to, like, how did we get to this point? Like, why are we the way we are? Why can't we look people in the eye? Why can't we use our words? Why is it if you need to get around somebody, you can't just simply say, hey, excuse me? Why don't we greet people anymore? Hey, good morning, brother. How you doing? Why don't we wave at our neighbors? Like, why do we just stare at the ground and mow along as if the world only exists wherever we're standing? I don't get it. I don't want to know why we become so disconnected. The first few neighborhoods I lived in Las Vegas, I didn't even know my neighbors ever for like a year. And finally, it was Christina. She's the one that started like going out and knocking on doors and giving cookies and introducing herself. And just that simple act, all of a sudden we have a bunch of friends. All it took was for one person to just reach the hand out and say, hey, I'm Charlie. And next thing you know, that wall falls down. And I found that people are looking for connection. They just don't know how. It's like we've become so wrapped up in ourselves, and our homes have become our little fortresses. And as soon as we enter them and shut the door, the rest of the world just stops existing. And I think that that's one of the big contributions or contributors to the way things are. The confusion that men are feeling, I think it has to do with the attack on the Judeo-Christian values that this country was founded on. I've never been a religious guy, and I used to hate going to church, and I think there's a bunch of things that the Catholics got wrong. But the one thing I never realized that they did get right is fellowship. You'd go to church every Sunday and you would talk to people in your community and you would make plans and you'd go to breakfast with people and, meet up with them next week and have a barbecue. And we don't do that anymore. And now everything's online. Now everything's, self-centered. It's solipsistic. It's living for ourselves. And we become wrapped up in the opinions of other people, and it's life or death. I mean, if you think about this, like this whole transgender movement and this whole, blurring of the lines of not being able to define what a man or woman is, and the fact that they're saying that you can be both, it all has to do with your own ego and your own self-absorption. You're so concerned with what other people think about you that you're literally making the most important feature of your life about your sexuality, which is like the least interesting thing about a person. I don't really care what you do with your genitals. It's none of my business. That's supposed to be between you and the people that you're intimate with. And you've made it your defining characteristic. I mean, you don't see a problem with that? Steel does indeed sharpen steel. And I think my job as a man my age is to pass along what I have learned to others, to remain teachable, to be of service to others, to be that calm, assertive leader, to be the father, to be the family man, to be the guy that you can count on in an emergency. But basically, I think that we as men really need to do our parts to try to help other young men who might be confused and struggling. Reach out. Next time you're at the gym and you see somebody that looks like he might be admiring you, go up and introduce yourself to him. You'll see a lot of people, like especially when you're athletes of our caliber. When we go to the gym, we're usually the big fish in the pond. We're the guy that the smaller kids look up to. Go up to them, introduce yourself, ask if they need anything. You'd be surprised what the answer is.